Hello, I'm Catherine Biaruhanga. We start with the conflict between Israel and Hamas. President Biden has welcomed Israel's decision to formalize brief humanitarian pauses in the fighting in northern Gaza, calling it a step in the right direction. The agreement came after weeks of US pressure. The Israeli defense minister said the pauses would not interfere with Israel's military objectives. Meanwhile, health officials in Gaza say there have been Israeli airstrikes on or close to hospitals, including the biggest in the territory, Al-Shifa. The BBC has not been able to verify the reports from the Hamas-run authorities, but Israel's military said earlier that its forces were operating close to the Shifa hospital. Well, let's speak to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Nell, who's in Jerusalem. Yolande, what can you tell us about these airstrikes that Hamas-run authorities say happened close to hospitals in Gaza?
Well, there's 3 hospitals in Gaza City that are included in this statement. We also know that there has been other military action close to the Indonesian hospital, which is further north in the Gaza Strip. But in particular, if we look at the Shifa hospital, the biggest hospital in the whole of Gaza, where, of course, there are thousands of people who have been sheltering in the grounds, as well as the patients and the doctors who remain there and are complaining that they have, very short on supplies. These are very difficult circumstances in which they're operating. We know already that there has been fierce fighting very close to the hospital in the past day. The Israeli military says it has been operating with its ground forces backed up with air support in that area, saying that that is where Hamas had its military headquarters and that there were an intelligence center there that was important for the planning and the execution of those deadly 7th of October attacks. Now, there are videos that we're really not in too much doubt about because they're from several angles simultaneously inside what is clearly the Shifa hospital at night. You can hear this sort of whiz of a missile that hits in the courtyard, and then in one of the videos you see a man has been hit, that he is covered in blood. In a later video you can see there is a body on a stretcher with a pool of blood next to it. And what we really don't know is what the source of that missile fire was. I've put in a call to the Israeli military. They said that they're checking if there were any airstrikes in that area overnight.
And this is not the first time that there have been attacks around the Al-Shifa hospital. It's a point of interest during this conflict.
Oh, definitely. And what we've had from Israel in the past is they have said quite clearly that they believe that Hamas uses the Shifa hospital, buildings within it, and an underground tunnel network there in order to act as a kind of command and control center. It is ultimately a focus of operations, but it's extremely complicated for the Israelis that you have so many people going there, as they have done safely in previous conflicts, sheltering there. That has been, of course, a main place to take the many, many wounded in Gaza City too. There's been intense Israeli bombardment of Gaza City in recent days, and that has led to more patients being rushed into the Shifa hospital. And the doctors and the staff there deny that their premises are used by Hamas.
Thank you very much, Yolande Nell, our correspondent there in Jerusalem. Hamas-run health ministry says that over 4,000 children have been killed since the start of the war and thousands more have been injured. Israel disputes these figures, but the World Health Organization believes the numbers are credible. Some of those wounded now face lifelong disabilities, left unable to walk or are paralyzed. Working with freelance journalists in Gaza filming for the BBC, our correspondent Yogita Lemay reports from Jerusalem.
What must it take for a mother to comfort her child when reality is so devastating? 2-year-old Fatima was stuck under the rubble of a bombing in Gaza 3 weeks ago. Nihad and her husband had tried for 14 years to have a baby. And then Fatima was born.
What is her fault? What did she do wrong? We have to constantly give her painkillers. As soon as the effect of one wears off, I give her another. Her life revolves around painkillers. And every other day, she undergoes surgery.
Trapped in Gaza under the constant threat of being bombed. Hospitals fill up with more wounded children. Amira al-Badawi, 13. 7 of her brothers were killed, and her mother too. Her father says they'd fled to southern Gaza for safety. That's where they were bombed. Amira has spinal injuries. I want peace and security. I want to be treated and go back to normal life, to my home, she says. I want to feel safe. It's not clear if Amira will be able to walk again. Yogita Lamai, BBC News, Jerusalem.